So today, we are wrestling with, I mean, it's the question that just tore fans apart after the finale.
Oh, absolutely. The big one.
Did our hero, 11, truly make that ultimate tragic sacrifice, sealing the gate behind her, or was everything we saw just a complex, calculated deception?
A master plan.
Exactly. A plan to fool everyone and, buy her freedom.
And that's the mission for this deep dive. We're not just debating some fan theory. We're unpacking a really detailed claim made by a key character, Mike.
A full 18 months after the fact.
Right. He's had a lot of time to think. And for him, the question isn't if she survived, it's how she pulled it off. So we have to look at the evidence he says he saw and decide if that whole conclusion was a lie.
Okay, let's get into it. And I think we have to start by just establishing the sheer tragedy we all thought we witnessed. We need to go back to the climax of the mission.
The right side up.
Codename The Right Side Up. Because look, if Mike is right, this wasn't just a win. It was a perfect con job.
Exactly. To understand the supposed sacrifice, you have to understand the victory. The mission had, what, 3 main objectives?
Yeah. Neutralize Vecna, rescue the 12 kids, and then the big one.
Permanently destroy the upside-down world using explosives. The stakes just could not have been higher.
And the victory itself, it was only possible through this huge, coordinated attack.
It was a team effort. The sources confirm Joyce is the one who ultimately defeated Vecna. She delivered that final blow.
He headed him.
Yeah.
Which was just wild. But that was only possible because 11 and Kali were working together.
From the abyss. They were launching this massive, crippling mental attack on him at the exact same time.
Right. And the strategy was so complex because the enemy was complex.
It had to be. The team finally understood that Vecna wasn't just a monster. He was more like an organism, a symbiont living inside the Mind Flayer.
So you couldn't just hit one part of it.
No, you had to hit the whole system from every angle. The physical, the mental, the dimensional, and for a moment it really seemed like they'd done it.
But a victory in the Upside Down didn't mean they were safe in the real world.
Not at all. Despite beating Vecna, the immediate threat was Dr. K and his military guys. They cornered 11.
They needed her blood. They were desperate to create more of these superpowered kids for their experiments. That was the ticking clock.
And this is where we get to the first big loss, or what we thought was a loss. Lieutenant Hackers shoots Kali.
We see the flash, the blood. The implication is immediate.
Kali's dead, and that shock, seeing her sister die right after they reunited, seems to be the trigger for 11's final choice.
Her ultimate act of selflessness. After thinking Kali is dead, she decides to stay inside the dimensional breach as the gate seals for good.
And we watch it happen. The gate closes. Mike, Hopper, everyone. They're just left there separated from her forever.
It looked like her final definitive act to make sure Dr. K could never use her again. It was, the perfect, heartbreaking, heroic ending.
And that is exactly why Mike's theory, 18 months later, is so explosive.
Yeah, it completely flips the script. It replaces that heroism with, like you said, cold calculation.
Right.
So here's where the narrative just fractures. Fast forward to May 1989. Life is sort of settling down. The gang gets back together for D&D.
A moment of normalcy.
And Mike just drops this bomb he's been sitting on.
Mm-hmm.
He argues that when he watched the figure at that closing gate, he saw something was wrong. Just fundamentally wrong.
He basically says the tragedy never happened. Kali wasn't killed by hackers. She survived, probably used the chaos to hide out in the old Hawkins lab.
But from there, she orchestrated this whole thing.
An incredibly elaborate fake illusion. That image of 11 dying, sacrificing herself. He thinks it was all a show while the real 11 was secretly escaping somewhere else.
But why? Why would 11, who was so laser-focused on stopping Dr. K, on saving everyone, why choose deception over martyrdom? Why not just fight and die a hero?
Well, Mike's theory hinges entirely on his understanding of how much 11 had changed emotionally.
Wow.
He argues that the love she found, especially with Hopper in the group, it just shifted her whole perspective. Kali had always believed she was born to die. That was her purpose.
That was her programming from the lab.
Exactly. But 11's relationships gave her something to live for. So a calculated escape, rather than a big tragic destiny, suddenly becomes a real possibility.
So her connection to the group didn't just save her soul, it changed her survival strategy.
Yeah.
That actually makes sense on an emotional level. But surviving a gunshot and creating a sustained dimensional illusion, it sounds like a huge leap of faith. What actual evidence does Mike have?
This is where it gets interesting. His claim isn't based on a feeling. It's based on technical observation. It starts with what he saw at the gate.
The flicker.
He calls it the flicker. When the figure was standing at the closing breach, Mike swears he saw a flicker near the figure's left hand.
A flicker. I mean, come on. During a major dimensional breach, wouldn't there be all sorts of visual noise and interference? That seems circumstantial.
It would be, if we didn't have a history with Kali's powers. Her illusions are complex, and crucially, they're known to sometimes have these little glitches, imperfections.
Like a hologram that's glitching out.
Precisely. We actually saw this happen back in Season 2, during that really complex train illusion she created. So if the figure at the gate had a similar glitch, it's strong evidence that it wasn't the real 11.
But a temporary projection.
Yeah.
Maintained by Kali.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, that changes the weight of that observation completely. So if we accept the flicker as proof of an illusion, then the next part of Mike's argument is about logistics.
Yeah, the logistics of the escape, which have, they've always been a little shaky.
The impossible escape route.
Right. Mike points out two big contradictions. First, the timeline's weird. The gate is shown opening before 11 is even seen standing there. But more importantly, the truck she was supposedly escaping in, it never stopped.
Right. For her to get away from Dr. K's soldiers, who were everywhere, and then arrive on foot at the gate, totally undetected, Mike's right, it's almost impossible.
The soldiers were all over that compound. She was weak from the mental battle with Vecna. There is just no scenario where she could have sprinted across that area without being caught, or at least seen by Hopper's group before that final moment. The only way the timeline and the location work is if the real 11 wasn't running towards the gate at all.
She was going somewhere else.
Mike thinks Kali must have created a sustained camouflage illusion, or maybe a diversion, a projection to make the soldiers think their target was running in one direction.
Toward the gate.
Right, toward the closing gate where they could focus their chase, while the real 11 slipped away in a different direction, probably to some underground hiding spot.
Okay, so if the flicker proves it was Kali, and the impossible logistics prove it was a deception, then the whole master plan depends on Kali herself surviving.
Yeah.
That takes us back to Lieutenant Hacker's firing that shot. How can Mike be so sure Kali made it?
This is where he focuses on the camera work, the way the scene was framed. He's convinced there was a final plan between the two sisters.
A coordinated plan.
Yes, Hacker shot Kali, and yes, we saw blood. But Mike points out that the camera angle was very specific. It was a low angle, deliberately used to stop you, the viewer, and the characters from actually confirming her death. We never see a body.
And 11 was the last one with her. They had that window, that opportunity to coordinate a fake death.
And we know Kali's powers are strong enough. I mean, she saved the entire game from the police with nothing but an illusion in Season 2. If she can fool a dozen cops in broad daylight, faking a death in the middle of all that chaos and visual noise seems
Entirely plausible.
right. And the implication is crucial. If Kali survived, and she kept her powers, she was more than capable of creating that illusion at the gate, of maintaining it for the few critical moments the real 11 needed to get away. It validates his entire theory.
Okay, let's add one last piece of this. The final technical contradiction Mike brought up. It's about her powers and interference.
The sonic waves contradiction.
Yeah. He says if the figure at the gate was the real 11, her reaction to the sonic environment was just all wrong.
This is a really sharp observation. We know that major interdimensional rips, like the closing gate, they produce intense sonic waves. And historically, whenever the real 11 is exposed to those kinds of sonics,
It reacts violently. It's agonizing for her. She convulses. She goes, quote, crazy from the pain.
but in this scene, the figure at the gate, her reactions are emotional, desperate, yes, but they are notably not physically overwhelming in that way. She's not in that kind of agony.
Which suggests it's not her.
Exactly. If that figure was just Kali's illusion, Kali herself could be positioned much farther away, outside that direct sonic field. She could use her projection powers without suffering the effects that would have totally incapacitated the real 11. It all just ties back consistently to the illusion.
And the cumulative weight of all this.
Yeah.
The contradictions, the visual glitch, the weird sonic reaction, and Kali's very convenient, unconfirmed death.
Yeah.
It stops sounding like wishful thinking.
It starts sounding like solid detective work.
Yeah. And it means that whole finale was so much less tragic than what the audience had to sit with for a year and a half.
It absolutely does. When you think about it, there were no major losses. No Dustin, no Steve. If 11 survived, then for the core group, this is a happy ending.
The piece was just bought with deception, not martyrdom.
And Mike even seems to have a clue where she went. This is the final piece of evidence he offers. The 3 waterfalls.
Right, the theory suggests Mike knows the secluded spot where Eleven is hiding. A place that's shown, just on the periphery of the story, to have 3 waterfalls.
If that's true, it confirms she chose freedom. She chose peace over a perpetual battle. She's just living far away from Dr. K and the experiments, completely off the grid.
This also just completely changes the future of the story. I mean, technically, with the Upside Down, Vecna, and the Mind Flayer all supposedly destroyed, it looked like a definitive ending.
The world-ending threats are gone.
But if Eleven is alive, she's out there in hiding, like Mike so carefully theorizes. While the writers have a clear, really exciting way to continue,
Yeah, the story pivots. It's not about dimensional threats anymore. It's about navigating a world where their greatest hero is a fugitive, hiding in plain sight.
so the key takeaway here is that the evidence really does support Mike's idea. The character at the gate was most likely a sophisticated illusion created by Kali.
And that just transforms the whole ending. It goes from a devastating, necessary sacrifice to a calculated act of survival, all made possible by a very powerful, very deceptive ally.
It makes you reevaluate everything you felt watching those final moments.
Hmm.
But here's the final thought I want to leave you with.
Go on.
If Kali not only faked her own death, but then spent 18 months maintaining this massive, complex deception just to keep Eleven safe,
Yeah.
what does that tell you about the true extent of her loyalty? And, maybe more importantly, her power? I mean, what else might she be planning operating covertly in the real world, fully powered, but totally off the grid?
That's a scary thought.
Something to mull over until we find out what happens next.